Hello everyone and welcome back to the comments section. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, and if you want to know what kind of video this is, the comment section is where I do a deep dive into what you guys have to say, and this video is going to be focusing on what's going right with Star Citizen. This has been something that I've been stepping into, and I just recently posted my first impressions, and you guys had a lot of ideas and thoughts, both positive, negative, to say about it, and so that's what this video is. If you guys like kind of content like this, you can kind of treat this almost as a semi-podcast. I'm going to highlight some comments, we're going to talk about it, and I think this is what I enjoy most about being a content creator is the discussion that we get to have together. So if you guys want your comments featured in comment section videos, be sure to just keep sounding off. That's pretty much the only requirement. So thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button if you feel like these videos earn it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But outside of that call to action, let's dive in. First up is, and I'm sorry to butcher names, I'm dyslexic. It is unfortunately a curse that some of you have to suffer through and some of you find absolutely hilarious. I hope that you listening right now are in the hilarious camp. But anyway, Atkins Kid says, I don't get why people compare these two games when neither ties or tries to be like the other. They are nothing alike, nor targeting the same audience. Well, I guess they take place in space, and Grizz Moreno, kind of in a same kind of vein, is following this up, says, Star Citizen should not be compared to Starfield in any way. Vastly different gaming genres, space sim versus sandbox set in space. And I kind of, cheekily responded, so when someone asks me how it compares, what exactly should I say to them? And Giz says, good question. To me, Starfield has no comparison in any ways aside from setting, and it's more akin to Fallout than Star Citizen. And that's apt, right? Like when I in the video I talk about, like you have No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, and Starfield. No matter what, you gotta remember the majority of gamers aren't as engaged. They're not, like even just being a content creator and consuming content on YouTube, as big as that is, it's still so very niche to the overall gaming community. So you might be like me, someone who's actively invested. Like I'm a really big gamer. I think the only thing that outranks gaming for me is God and my family. And then beyond that, then gaming, like I really love that. I want to put my family and my faith forward and first. And then essentially it's about playing games and having this social interaction connection. One of the hardest things about being an adult, if you are in or about to step into this camp for some reason, generally speaking, everybody's here is 18 plus and most of y'all are male. That's what the stats show me. But when it comes down to it, like it's really hard making friends as an adult. That's something I never was taught, or was actually kind of a shocking experience. And one of the things that content creation in the Discord and hanging out with you guys on a live stream in Discord or just talking, that actually is a nice outlet, and I've really appreciated that. So I thank y'all for being here. But that being said, is that no matter what, like those are going to be questions that are going to keep coming up, and I don't fall in the camp that they shouldn't be compared, because there are things that some games do differently. Differently doesn't mean better. I think for like a sandbox MMO, Star Citizen so far is knocking it out of the park for the things that I look for in these kind of games, and I'm still an absolute freshman when it comes to this. I'm barely making it out and back in, but I've been able to start to do that from time to time, and that's something very exciting for me to experience, that growth, that actual like my skill level and my ability level is getting better, not some kind of just a bar on some kind of chart somewhere. But no, people are going to, no matter what, ask these questions, and that's actually me responding to those various questions. So the idea that we can't like make comparisons and contrast and talk about different systems from different games based off of the theme of those games, I just can't subscribe to. And so if that offends you, like, no worries. Like, the internet's a big place, and I'm sure you can find somebody who's less offensive online, but best of luck with you on that case. But when it comes down to it, I will compare games that I've had like hands-on experience with, and when it comes down to it, I think that is probably what most of you really want in the long run, but you can let me know if we differ there. Moving on, Dr. John 7156 says, first, congrats on the weight loss, far more important than any YouTube gaming video, but I do have to say, oh boy, when you said that you were biased, you were not joking. 9 minutes of continuous bigging up this game and little to no discussion on the negatives of this game. And That's the absolutely fair critique, with the exception, and I'm going to push back and then we'll continue on their comment, is that I don't feel like I have the authority, and maybe you disagree and you can let me know, but I don't feel like I have the authority to focus in on negatives yet. And what I mean by that, it's not to say that every gaming experience is perfect, but I could state a negative, like, hey, I ran into a bug or something, but maybe it wasn't a bug, or maybe I was doing something incorrect, right? So it could fall into a couple different categories. Now, all of this is something that time can help with. Once I put 100 hours and 1,000 hours, I'm going to have a much broader experience. But for a first impressions video, and I've been called toxically positive online when it comes to video games, because my experience, especially as a dad and a father of 6, is like, I'm going to focus in on the fun. I'm going to find the things that I enjoy about it. I'm going to share those things that you hopefully will enjoy about it too, namely because my personal belief is that the best review is your own personal review. So if I can highlight some of the positive things, especially on a first impressions, and you want to check it out, then there's a real discussion that can be had. What did you like about it? Did you notice these things too? And so part of me not leaning into the negatives is, I haven't discovered all of them. I don't have a good understanding of the history of all that yet. And once those things are true, we can have a deeper conversation. But I don't like to go in here and say, like, I didn't get this, or this was really frustrating. And that's just the way I approach it. And you're perfectly fine not to like my approach, but when it comes down to it, especially as a software developer, I like to understand that I'm in an alpha, right? Like, I'm not going to worry about the things that plague the game. And maybe for right or wrong, I'm wrong, in that case. But that's going to be a personal choice that you make, and a personal kind of review of me as a content creator. There's nothing, ifs, ands, or buts about it. We all have different strokes for different folks, different ways of approaching these things together. But anyway, we'll continue on, because that's a fair pushback. That's absolutely fair pushback. Dr. John is not wrong in that assessment, but it's just, I don't think that I might be the content creator for them if that's the case. Stick around for 1,000 hours. After 1,000, like when you see the content creators after 5,000 hours, 12,000 hours, recent React video I did, this game sucks. It's like, maybe you've played it too much, but that's just that's my personal critique of content creators. So as someone who's played the recent free trial weekend, I was left with nothing short of disappointed. They were asking me to invest in the idea of the game, and what they had to show for it was a small slice of the game, and it should be by now, and that is that there are more bug-ridden mess. Personally, Squadron 42 does excuse this. If anything, it adds insult to injury. If I tell you that I'm building a farm and you buy that farm and you're just waiting for it to be finished, and then 7 years later you come in and look, and that what you've built, and that there is a hotel there instead that you don't care about, there is just to earn money and help pay for the farm that you bought into, most people would be pretty upset. There is so much wrong with this game, and it's not even the glove that bad. Some real time in the video is disingenuous, and it calls into question the integrity of your point of view. So what's interesting here, obviously, is like, this is what I'm talking about immediately, about the history when people have. I haven't invested in this game until this summer, right? So my day zero technically was just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and of which I've put in a couple of hours into the game. And all of that, also, like I said, I'm biased. I get to do that while live. And so I have the community support and the help being able to answer these questions. And there's a different kind of experience that I'm having than other people have. I don't think it makes my point of view disingenuous. I just think it makes my point of view different. And that's why I always like to highlight that and tell people that. And so really, Dr. John's comment here is that there's the highest praise and review, because he just said I was honest. But he doesn't agree with my take, but he agrees that what I said was true. And so that in and of itself is great. But we can keep having this conversation for sure. But that's just my thoughts on it. You can let me know yours as well. Now, going on, Xilixi, man, butchered it. Congrats on the weight loss. I'm down 60 pounds since December 2022. Congratulations, dude. That's incredible. Haven't fully cut out sugar, though. I can't break myself from chocolate. Anyway, I got bored with Starfield after my first playthrough, which wasn't compared to other. Why did I look at that BGS and think Baldur's Gate? That's not what I was thinking. Bethesda. I've been thinking about trying Star Citizen, but feel I can't afford it. I'll probably just wait for Squadron 42. Nothing wrong with that. For me, I'm, just like, I'm willing to kind of risk, some money on something, especially an idea, namely because like that, I mean, that's a bit part of life, right? We are all gambling, to a certain degree. I'm just somebody who's not going to sit here and get frustrated. Like I recognize I put my money in the pot. I haven't put my money into the pot for, Ashes of Creation yet, but I'm still rooting for that game. I still would love to see that happen. I love the ambition of what we're seeing with some of these crowdfunded stuff, but there's risks there too. So I think Squadron 42 will be an interesting point of view. And then back again to Dr. John's comment, where he's talking about like, yeah, they've done this thing, they've built this other thing. I mean, hell, even Ashes of Creation also is doing that. And so my experience as a dev in this case is I get the economics behind it. What they're doing with Star Citizen is they're building technology that hasn't really ever existed. They are on the frontier, wanting to create something that I think deep down could be, doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but it could be what people want to see with the evolution of the MMORPG, where we see these persistent worlds that are in a way like something that we can't experience in this lifetime, the far reaches of space exploration and so much more. So like I get it, right? It's not me trying to excuse it or give them every pass under the book, but I understand it. We saw Ashes of Creation build in a battle royale to see and test the battle system, and obviously people who are backing that got frustrated by it, and I get that. And so I think essentially what I'm gathering is that, obviously the most people who have invested the most are invested the most, more than I am at the moment, because I've only just bought the base game and whatnot. So it's like, yeah, I can understand that. So I'm not faulting them for that frustration. I just can't share that because I haven't been on that same time frame of a journey, right? I've been just told this game is to write this game off and never check it out. And eventually I was like, you know what? With all that, I'm just going to go play it for myself and make my own decision. Anyway, let's move on. Ardent Fender says, I've been an OG backer of Star Citizen since 2012, and from the very first Kickstarter. I personally own at least a dozen different ships because since 2012, I actively contribute to the game development in wanting to see such a game come to life in my lifetime, as I felt as if someone like SIG don't do it over ambitiousness, no one else in the industry has the guts to do it, and so in my lifetime. I agree with that, actually. Risk in and of itself within the gaming industry is a problem, and it's something we've covered here and multiple times on the channel. And if you guys ever want to discuss it live, man, I tell you, like, it's weird because like this kind of falls into talk is cheap. Gamers talk a big game. Oh, I'm going to show up. It's great that they are for Star Citizen financially, right? But we see that happen so much. We also see in the content creation space. We see it where like the internet makes it easy to say things, but action in and of itself, like words are more rewarded than action in any case. And I think that's in and of itself quite entertaining, if not sad to a degree. Anyway, all that being said, I took a hands-off approach in just not paying that close attention to the game month-to-month development, as well as playing the alpha, in which you can play, which I can play, but decided not to in the recent following things. But a few days ago, I saw your video where Brian was playing Star Citizen, piloted the ship out of the hangar, flew into space and all that, and I was like, huh, well, damn. I also did see all the recent SIGCon 2023 presentations as well, but after your video, and most important thing I learned was how to press I. I logged onto the and fired up Star Citizen game, and I didn't complete the game tutorial, but I did make it 40k meters into space. Like you often say, small wins. My win was firing up the game, clearing the hangar, and making it into space, seeing the oh beautiful planet below. And from the top of the stratosphere, small wins, but I had so much fun trying to figure it out all along the way. And again, small wins, right? That in and of itself, I actually am like, the more I've learned about Star Citizen over the last couple of weeks, just kind of getting caught up, just trying to understand. And when I say weeks, like ever since I started playing it and since pretty much CitizenCon, like that's when I was like, whoa, okay, all right, like what's going on with this game? Like this is in and of itself, all of a sudden it's like, Squadron 42, despite people, like Dr. John's, critique of that being built as a hotel on this farmland that you bought, like that's an invitation opportunity to see what's been going on. And all of a sudden I found so many cool things, right, going on and so exciting. And yes, this is something where the ambitiousness of this project, it's risky. It's risky. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, I'd rather be hopeful for Star Citizen rather than some NFT Bitcoin crypto scam out there. But that's just my take. Luna Moon says he just chatters and doesn't show anything. Welcome to the channel, Luna. I might not be your content creator. That's what we do here. It's like I discuss video games, cover the news, and so much more. It's a good opportunity. Hello, everyone. For those of you who are still hanging out, hit that like button and sound off in the comments below with secret call out. We'll say Boogaloo. So there we go. Secret call outs, Boogaloo. Sound off in the comments with that if you made it this far. But yeah, like, one of the things that I highlight this because this is something that I don't mind negativity. I don't mind critique. I'm just going to let you know that the idea that somebody complains about free content is amusing to me, right? Like, I don't personally go into other people's videos and be like, like, how dare you make this video? I didn't, like, it might not be your style. I might not be your content creator. I might not be the style of content creator for you. And that's perfectly fine. I'm happy making the videos and the ways that I make the videos that I make. And it's a fun hobby for me to do. I don't have grandeur, like, ideas that I'm going to be a full timer and just make content. Maybe when I retire, I think that might be the dream. But yeah, like, guys, I might make fun of you if you complain about free content because, like, come on, man. Like, it's the easy option is that unsubscribe button or that clicking off the video and just going somewhere else. Like, find something fun in your day to enjoy. Like, there's no point in letting me ruin it. It just seems like it takes maybe take a little bit of personal responsibility and click off the video. Like, and that's my advice. Like, that's what I tell people. You're free to go. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. We can hang out, talk about games if that's what you want to do, because that's what I'm going to keep doing because I've been doing it and I love it, and we'll go from there. Let's go on to Casket Crew says, I watched your New World videos. I had no idea that you played Star Citizen. I started playing 3 years ago. Bugs aside, there's nothing like it. It's a learning curve is steep, but learning it has been satisfying in a way that most MMOs cannot provide, and I absolutely agree with this. Now, Kaz Walden says, as a backer since 2017, I can honestly say the game has come a long way. Yes, it's buggy. Yes, it can be frustrating, but it's a playtest, not an actual game. Every time we log in, we test the current version and wait for the next update to see the improvements. One day, you may never see any of the bugs, and another day, you're lucky if you can take off. It's really heartwarming to see a new player's experience from others' perspective because some of us have been here for so long that we've forgotten the awesomeness feeling of taking off for the first time and flying into space for the first time and dying for the first time. When all this new tech is introduced to the persistent universe, that is Squadron 42, the experience is going to be epic. And that's what I'm kind of banking on, right? That's what I'm bought into now, right? Like, I bought the game. I'm definitely going to be checking out Squadron 42. And I'm going to keep playing, and just kind of learning what all this is. And I love it. Like, there's a level of respect. There's a level of joy that I feel is missing in a lot of kind of the less social aspects of the game world. This, again, takes me back to my Final Fantasy 11 roots, and I really like that. But that's not to say that it's, an experience that everybody's going to flock to. Who knows, though, right? Like, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see the sandbox come back and in a way that, and what I've argued for the longest time is, like, in order for that to truly happen, it has to do something that nobody else can or is doing. It has to offer that, but it also has to make it so that you want to spend time in, and it isn't easier just to go do something else. Because for any parents out there listening, like me, like, I wanted to sit down and play Horizon, 5 one day, and it had like a 30 gig patch or something. Well, that's my game time. Like, I guess I'm just going to have this update the game. I might as well go do something else. So the path of the least resistance for a lot of gamers ends up being the case. And we know that the learning curve is steep, and thus it's going to keep going. And it's going to take a special kind of invitation. It's going to take that kind of one of those moments where you're like, you won't believe it. Like, they actually did it. They actually pulled it off. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, our final comment, Shanak says, to this comment about the game being meant to be played in a group, to anyone who is interested, the game can be played solo, but don't go into it thinking that you can conquer the world solo. As someone who does play the game a lot by myself, I am very knowledgeable, and there are certain things I know I can't do by myself unless certain conditions are met, and I do the prep for it. And even then, there are some stuff that you just simply can't be done. The good thing about the game is that it basically scales up to as much as you want it to. I think the game as an online game with the possibility of interactions, but the capacity of carving out your own direction, you are not alone in the game, but space is as big as there are much bigger things than you. And you can do your own thing, or you can find people to play with. You don't have to be one of those people who want the game to be a single player game, because it isn't. Someone may try to fight you, while someone might try to come and help you. I want to save random people who have died on their missions, and I've also killed random people less so than that. In the end, though, it's fun running around the ship and doing stuff further my own means, but it is a hell of a lot better being able to do that with other people sometimes. The game does have a learning curve. It's even harder when there isn't someone to show you things, but I actually think that's the best experience because you aren't rushed. Find your own path before you let the people influence you how you play or require them to play. And what's interesting about this comment for me personally is, yes, like there's what I call asynchronous multiplayer. We're playing this game together, even if we're not like in a group together or actively doing this thing together. Your actions could impact my experience. I like that. And that's one of the things I feel like we've seen the modern MMO get away from. It's more about that personalized experience, that instance experience, that instant gratification experience rather than kind of, the investment of having something that you work towards and pay off. And so with like Star Citizen, same thing with PAX Day, same thing with Ashes of Creation, same thing with these games. Like I want to champion them. I want to be excited for them because I really have been craving them. And, it's fun to step back into the world of Final Fantasy XI, but you really do travel back in time. And what I think people are really craving is that feeling brought into a modern game, which in some cases is pretty lacking, at least in my opinion. Not that this applies to every game, and not that you have to agree with me on my perspective, but just as a part of the overall experience in the end. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's long video. Like I said, treat these as kind of like mini podcasts. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, check out other videos on the channel. You can always check out the playlist for the comment section if you're curious, as we do deep dives into your comments from time to time. And it's a big part of why I love being a YouTuber, is reading y'all's comments and talking with y'all about it. So without further ado, I'm going to wish you guys all the best. Thanks so much for being here. Hopefully you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.